most people understand marriage equality is about equality, that same-sex relationships have the same qualities, the same level of love, commitment, joy, sacrifice, the same value for the partners involved, their families and for society as heterosexual relationships, and that therefore those relationships should be treated equally in the law. But it's about more than that, of course. It's also about the stigma that applies to same-sex relationships and same-sex attracted people, because we're excluded from such an important legal and social institution. And that discrimination affects people in many different ways. Marriage is an important institution in our society. It connotes love, commitment, family, kinship, and to be excluded from that is to be excluded from belonging. The law discriminates against same-sex couples, but that doesn't mean that people who uphold that are necessarily prejudiced or bigoted themselves. This is a very important point. People can oppose marriage equality because they have a traditional view of marriage, because of the idea of marriage they grew up with. When they married, it may have been at a time when before no-fault divorce, when they felt that marriage was obligatory for everyone, when everyone got married in churches, and when no one talked about homosexuality. Obviously that's the case for many older Australians. And it's really important for us to initiate a conversation with those people about how the essence of marriage is love and commitment between two people. And I think I've found that most people who understand that the qualities in same-sex relationships are the same as the qualities in their own marriage come around to the idea that there shouldn't be anything stopping same-sex couples from marrying. Civil unions are fine for people who don't want to get married. People should have an option of formalising their relationship if marriage isn't for them. But it's not a substitute for those people who want to marry. I mentioned previously about how marriage connotes love and commitment and family. Marriage provides us with a universal language of love, commitment and family. Everyone knows what a husband is, what a wife is, what a father-in-law or a daughter-in-law. Civil unions don't have those kinds of connotations. To put it simply, no one writes love songs about civil unions. Like I said, it's fine for people who don't want to marry, but those who really want to be a part of that institution and uphold its values and its traditions, civil unions just aren't enough. We know from the experience in the United States that a separate institution, as civil unions are, can never be a substitute for full equality, full participation and full inclusion. Well, it's not a case of either or. I mean, we need to be advancing this reform at both levels of government in Australia. Australian marriage equality certainly supports reform at a federal level, because that would cover the most number of couples who are currently excluded from marriage. But as long as the federal government refuses to move the issue forward, then it's important that we move it forward instead at a state and territory level. I'm a strong supporter of the states and territories taking action in this area, because I believe in federalism. I believe that many important reforms begin at the state and territory level. Certainly all reforms of our law in relation to personal relationships have in the past, in relation to heterosexual marriages and heterosexual de facto relationships and same-sex de facto relationships and civil partnerships and all the rest, have all begun at a state and territory level before going national. Why would same-sex marriage be any different? Under the law in the ACT, there's some scope, as there is in New South Wales and Tasmania under the proposed laws there. Transgender and intersex people who are in same-sex relationships, who are considered under the law as of being one gender or another, if they can't marry under a federal law, they will be able to marry under the state law. But of course, there are some transgender and intersex people, intersex in particular, who don't want to have to identify as male or female in order to marry under one statute or the other. And what we're looking at now is ways to improve the laws that have been put forward in the ACT, Tasmania and New South Wales to ensure that all transgender and intersex people can marry, if they can't marry under the federal law, they can marry under the state law, including those who don't want to have to identify as being of a particular sex in order to be part of a same-sex relationship.